Hi everyone, dear students. So now today's a lecture on introduction of indirect tax and GST. Class Tybaf semester 5th and direct tax. So our topic is very interesting. We are discussing on what is exactly indirect tax and GST. So before starting the main topics, we are discussing about the tax. So you know about here tax is a main source of government. So why government collect tax from the public? So it is for the development and the defense of our country. So tax is a charge is levied by the government or authority on a product, income or activity. So tax is levied. Levied it means charge on product, income or authority. So basically, it is a amount which is mandatory to pay to the government. So tax is mandatory to pay to the government because here related to income tax. So income tax at 1961 is applicable. If a Mr. A having a total income property is 10 lakhs, so Mr. A is eligible to pay income tax to the government. So now it is mandatory. If not paid, so government or income tax act will charge the penalty interest and against file it means against the case file to particular person. So it is mandatory to pay to the government. And tax is levied on so three things product, income or activity. Activity it means getting services. So that it can fund various public expenditure. In short, taxes are the source of income for the government. You know about here, taxes is the main source of government, income source of government. So you know about tax which is charged on product, income or activity. Tax is the main source of government and it is mandatory to pay to the government. So what is tax? I explain here. So today's most important session only on types of taxation. You know about the direct tax and the indirect tax. So what is exactly direct tax? See here the picture. So one person's and burden on some things, it means the tax. This is a person. Okay. Suppose this is a person's and getting the income uh, above the taxation limit. So tax is a burden on this person. Okay. So if Mr. A is having total income of rupees 15 lakh, so Mr. A is eligible to pay income tax to the government. Mr. A only pay income tax to the government. Mr. A cannot shift his tax burden to another person. So two things here most important: levy of tax and burden of tax. If only on one person, okay, this is a burden of tax and this is the levy of tax. So levy of tax only on Mr. A, okay, and burden of tax also only on Mr. A. So levy of tax and burden of tax only on one person, it is called a direct tax. The most important example here, direct tax, it means income tax. Income tax at 1961. No other tax of direct tax, only income tax. So income tax, it means levy and burden only on one person. It is called direct tax. So direct tax, it means directly pay to the government. No here the middleman considered. Direct tax. Okay. So I think understood very clearly. Burned by person himself. Okay. Burned by person himself and eligible to pay income tax to the government. Burden and levy only on one person. See again the second picture. So here this is a person and this is also person. So it is a seller, it means supplier, and this is a customer. So seller here shifted indirect tax to the customer. Okay. So again discussing here, levy of tax is one person, but burden of tax is another person. So levy of tax, it means supplier, and burden of tax, it means customer. So difference here, burden of taxes is a different person. Okay. So levy, it means supplier, levy of tax, it means supplier, levy of tax only on the supplier, and burden of tax only on the customer. So supplier here shifted his tax burden only on customer. It means another person. It is called the indirect tax. Suppose if you want to purchase a cell phone of rupees 20,000, okay, you go to the, it means uh, shop or market, and you purchase a cell phone. So in your, it means invoice, consider the bifurcation original price plus tax. It means suppose 19,000. 19,000 plus GST is 1,000, and this GST paid by customer, okay, not directly to the government, paid to the supplier, okay. It is called indirectly paid to the government. So supplier is a middleman, collect GST, or it means indirect tax from the customer, and then pay to the government, indirect tax, okay. So burden on the customer, but levy of tax on supplier. So supplier should be registered. Supplier should have a GST and number. Then he has the right to collect the GST from the customer. Okay, but supplier should be registered supplier. Only registered supplier can take here. It means collect the GST from the customer. Okay, I think you understood clearly. Again, I am saying here, burden of tax shifted to another person. It is called indirect tax. Burden of tax shifted to the another person, it is called indirect. And burden of tax and levy of tax only on one person, it is called direct. Okay, I think you clearly understood this. Again, next is a difference again in detail. Direct tax, that it is a tax levied directly on a taxpayer. Yes, it is directly levied on the taxpayer who pay it to the government and cannot pass it on someone else. I am talking about the one example, Mr. A. Mr. A having a total of income, it means from salaries, from business, from other sources of rupees 15 lakh. So only Mr. A is eligible to pay income tax to the government. Mr. A cannot shifted his income tax to the another person. So burden of tax and levy of tax only on one person. It is called a direct tax. Okay. So cannot pass it on to someone else. Again, it is imposed on an individual who falls under the different tax brackets. So different tax brackets means old regimes and new regime. So older regimes, it means up to 5 lakh no tax, above 5 lakh 20%. New regime up to 5 lakh no tax, and up to 7 lakh 50,000 5%, 7 lakh 50 to 10 lakh 10%, above 10 lakh 15 or 20%. So this is the different tax brackets. Okay, higher earner can pay higher income tax. So it is imposed on an individual. It is imposed on an individual who falls under the different tax brackets based on their earning or revenue, and they have to file an income tax return every year. After which they will either need to pay the tax or be eligible for tax refund. Suppose your taxable income is up to rupees 5 lakh and deducted the TDS. TDS, it means tax deducted at source. But your overall income up to rupees 5 lakh. But already deducted the TDS from the bank, from the employer, and also other things. So taxpayer, it means persons, is eligible for tax refund. Okay. अभी जो person है, person it means if you earn income, it is called a person. Okay. So उसका इनकम अगर 5 लाख तक है और उसका एम्प्लॉयर ने जहाँ पे वो जॉब कर वहां पे उसका टीडीएस माइनस हुआ है, बैंक ने उसको इंटरेस्ट दिया, टीडीएस माइनस करके इंटरेस्ट दिया, मतलब उन्होंने टीडीएस टैक्स डिडक्शन एट सोर्स, मतलब उन्होंने गवर्नमेंट को टैक्स पे किया। ओके, सो उसका इनकम ओवरऑल 5 लाख है। सो मिस्टर जो कुछ भी है पर्सन इज एलिजिबल फॉर टैक्स रिफंड, so he will get tax refund. Okay, I think direct tax you understood clearly. It is a direct tax because of this tax cannot be shifted to another person. First things, individuals is liable to pay tax as per different tax brackets. Higher the income, higher will be income tax is eligible. Then again, compulsory to file income tax return. And also if up to the, it means eligible income up to rupees 5 lakh and deducted the TDS and also other tax. So Mr. A is eligible for refund of tax. Again, the indirect tax. So indirect tax is levied on the goods and the services and not on the income, profit and revenue because income tax there of an individuals, and it can be shifted from one taxpayer to another. Custom duty, central excise, service tax, and GST. So actual existing here, custom duty and GST is a major example of indirect tax. Excise duty totally removed because of GST. Service tax also all over India totally removed because of implementation of GST. So only here two taxes here indirect tax. First year custom, first is a custom duty and second GST. Okay, so indirect tax is levied on the goods and services, not on the income, profit and revenue, and it can be shifted from one taxpayer to another, so it is called the indirect tax. Okay, I think you understood. An example of indirect tax, first is a custom duty, second is a GST. Again, the difference between direct and indirect tax. So tax is paid directly by an individuals or organizations to an imposing entity like a government. But an indirect tax is tax that is shifted from one person to another person. It means middleman there, seller or supplier there. Taxes are based on the ability to pay principal, which means if you earn more, your rate of tax is also more. Yes, higher the income, higher will be charged the income tax. But an indirect tax is levied on goods and services, which increases the price of a goods or services. High income earner pay higher income tax, low income earner pay low income tax. Yes. Do not discriminate between rich and poor. It depends upon the consumption of goods and services. If a middleman person self-earned of rupees 20,000, so is eligible for GST same amount. Again, the rich persons want to purchase cell phone, he will be eligible for same indirect tax. It means no discriminative here, rich and poor. Okay, but related to direct or income tax, higher income earner pay higher income tax. But here indirect tax, no here discriminative. Both are the indirect tax pay same amount. Taxpayer has to register with the tax authorities. It means taxpayers, it means persons getting a PAN card, permanent account number. Dealer has to register with the tax authorities, not a taxpayer. So government control on the dealer, not a, it means customer. Why government not collected directly taxes from the customer? Because no control on the customer, control on the supplier only. ओके, सप्लायर के ऊपर कंट्रोल रहता है, कस्टमर के ऊपर नहीं. ओके, क्योंकि सप्लायर को गवर्नमेंट जीएसटी आईएन नंबर देता है. ओके, सो सप्लायर कैन getting a GSTIN number. GSTIN number, it means registered supplier, and only registered supplier can collect GST. It means indirect. The payer pay direct taxes to government directly, yes, but here the payer pay indirect taxes through dealer, because so it is called indirect tax. And SSC is a taxpayer, and SSC and a taxpayer is a different. So here SSC is a taxpayer, but an SSC and taxpayer here is different. Okay, so So SAC, it means person is eligible to pay income tax, and SAC, it means a supplier, and a taxpayer is a customer. Okay, is it different? So I think you understood very clearly what is the direct tax and indirect tax. Two things you should remember here. First is a levy of tax and burden of tax. If a one person, if only on one person, it is called a direct tax. And if a levy of tax and burden of tax is a different person, it is called indirect tax. The levy of tax only on the supplier or seller, and burden of tax only on the customer. Okay, it is called indirect. So I think you understood here Indian taxation system, direct and indirect. And one most example here, direct tax it means income tax, and indirect tax it means the example here custom duty is the first indirect tax, and second is the GST, goods and services. Again, our we are going towards in next what is exactly GST. So, dear students, we are discussing more about the history of GST. GST is an indirect tax, yes, which has replaced many indirect taxes in India. The Goods and Service Tax Act was passed in the Parliament on 29th March 2007. So, in Parliament, this act was passed in 29th March 2007. The act came into effect on 1st July 2007, but actually implementation from 1st July 2007. Goods and Service Taxes law in India is a comprehensive multi-stage destination-based tax, and that is levied on every value addition. Okay, so comprehensive multi-stage destination-based destination. You know about the it means if you purchase within the state, so SGST and CGST will be applicable. If you purchase outside state, IGST will be applicable, destination. And again, every value addition, it means manufacturer sold goods to the distributor. Again, distributor added their it means margin or profit sold to wholesaler. Wholesaler again added their margin or profit sold to retailer. Retailer again added their profit sold to customer. So every transaction GST will be applicable. वैल्यू एडिशन हर एक के ट्रांजैक्शन में यहाँ पे वैल्यू बढ़ता है और उस वैल्यू के ऊपर यहाँ पे जीएसटी एप्लीकेबल. In simple words, goods and service tax (GST) is an indirect tax levied on the supply of goods and services. Only supply of goods and services, not the production of goods or services. Okay, so only GST will be applicable on supply of goods and services. This law has replaced many indirect taxes law that previously existed in India. So GST, it means this is the sales tax. So previously in India, each state it has his own. It means it was his own sales tax. Suppose in Maharashtra, MVAT, Maharashtra Value Added Tax. Okay, in Gujarat it means different sales tax. In Delhi, Kolkata, Goa, different sales tax. So GST is a comprehensive and it is a one nation, one tax. So all over India GST applicable from 1st July 2007. So overall India, total 17 taxes removed because of GST implementation. So normally in Maharashtra, 6 to 7 taxes removed because of GST. So we will see there. Okay, so I think you understood very clearly. Indirect taxes levied on the goods and the services. Again, most important discussion on indirect tax structure in India before GST. So before GST, okay, which was taxes there we are discussing here. Number first, indirect tax structure of India before GST. The topic is before GST. First is the excise duty levied on production, levied on the production. Okay, but levied collect it means charge on manufacture. तो excise duty levied on the production के ऊपर. If all over India any productions was there, so excise duty that time was applicable. But here from July 2017, this excise duty totally removed. So on production, no any taxes applicable here. Again and most important, custom duty only on import and export of goods. These taxes, this is another indirect taxes existent in India. So today also custom duty will be applicable for import and export. VAT, GST, sales tax. VAT, value added tax in Maharashtra. VAT is another sales tax. It means this tax came from 2002 up to 2017. Okay, value added tax. CST, central sales tax. Okay, central sales tax. No, it means it is also removed from India and sales tax. So here on sales, supply के ऊपर था VAT, CST, sales tax, sales के ऊपर. Then again entry tax. Entry tax it means octroi tax, entry of goods. So entry of tax it means this is the also it is called the local authority tax. If you purchase some goods from Mumbai and your destination Thane, if you travel goods or transport goods from Mumbai and enter in Thane district, it means TMC, Thane Municipal Corporation. So Thane municipal corporations will collect the entry tax. It means octroi tax. So these octroi or entry tax also removed from Maharashtra. Okay, no other entry tax here. Only GST only on supply of goods and services. तो प्रोडक्शन के ऊपर जो टैक्स था रिमूव किया, एंट्री के ऊपर टैक्स था वो भी रिमूव किया. ऑक्ट्राई ड्यूटी आपको मालूम होगा बिफोर 2017 में था, रिमूव किया बिकॉज ऑफ जीएसटी. वैट रिमूव किया, जीएसटी रिमूव किया. देन अगेन सर्विस टैक्स प्रोविजन ऑफ सर्विसेज. So service tax also was there levied on provision of service. This is also is a central state tax or central tax. Okay, but now service tax also all over India totally removed because of GST. Only one tax. So on service, provision of service, so now applicable here to GST. Okay, so excise duty remove, VAT, CST remove, 3, 4 entry tax remove, and 5th service tax remove here. So in Maharashtra total 5 taxes removed because of GST. Okay, so I think dear students you understood very clearly this is the Indian taxation system before implementation of GST. So if a manufacturers purchase raw materials, VAT will be applicable in Maharashtra. Okay, then again he product some goods, so again pay the tax on productions. It means excise duty will be applicable on productions. Then again supply, so production cost plus excise duty plus margin again charge the sales tax. So it is a cascading system. It means tax on tax was there. So because of GST, cascading system totally removed here. No cascading system, only one nation one tax. तो जो डबल टैक्स जो पे करते थे वो अभी यहाँ से रिमूव किया गया. So all our tax here, manufacturer is applicable GST, pay tax to the government. Again, the distributor pay tax to the government. Again, wholesaler, retailer pay tax to the government. But here, actually burden on the customer. So manufacturers also can get the ICT, it means refund. Distributor, wholesaler, retailers, all these are the suppliers getting a refund of tax. Only burden on the customers. So we will see with the examples. Okay. So indirect tax burden on the customer also, not a supplier. हर एक को अपना अपना जीएसटी रिफंड मिलता है. ओके, सपोज मैन्युफैक्चरर पे ₹5, डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर पे ₹15, देन अगेन retailer pay ₹20, wholesaler pay ₹25. So all over taxes is burden on only customer. Okay, so I think dear students, you understood very clearly. If you have any doubts, so you can say here. And again I'm saying next lectures with example what is again GST history and features, advantages and benefits of the GST we will it means see. So thank you very much.